You know, there are underdog stories. And then there's the story of the Greek national football team in the summer of 2004. It's a tale so wild, so improbable, it almost feels like it belongs in Greek mythology. But what if I told you it was all real? Okay, picture this. It's July 4th, 2004. We're in Lisbon for the final of the European Championship. It's the 57th minute, and the entire stadium is holding its breath. A corner kick comes flying into the box, and this one striker, Angelos Hetersteas, just leaps above everyone else. That powerful header connects, and in that single moment, an entire continent is just plunged into absolute shock.
So how on earth did this happen? How did a team with 150 to 1 odds, a team with basically zero history of success, pull off what might be the single greatest upset in the history of the sport? Well, to understand the miracle, you gotta go back and look at the decades of failure that came first.
Yeah, before Greece reached the very top of European football, they were known for something else entirely. Their history was pretty much a painful reel of disappointment after disappointment. I mean, their journey started with a big loss way back in 1929. Just a decade later, they suffer their worst defeat ever, an 11-1 demolition by Hungary. It took them over 50 years just to qualify for a major tournament, and another 14 after that to finally make it to a World Cup. And that World Cup debut in 1994, oh man, after they went undefeated in qualifying, the expectations back home were through the roof. But what happened next was an unmitigated disaster. It was so bad, it basically became a cautionary tale. The stats are just brutal. 3 games played, 3 games lost. They didn't score a single goal, not one, and they let in 10. They were sent packing in disgrace, and it kind of sealed their reputation as a team that just couldn't hang on the biggest stage. But then, 10 years later, something just shifted. A German coach came in, brought a whole new sense of discipline, and the team headed to Euro 2004 in Portugal, ready to write a totally new story. And this was the team. This wasn't a squad of superstars, not by a long shot. They were hardworking, determined guys led by this super pragmatic German coach, Otto Rehhagel. He knew they couldn't outdazzle Europe's best teams, so he built them around a simple but really powerful idea, an unbreakable defense. This wasn't just a strategy, it became their identity. So, what was their reward for qualifying? Oh, just being thrown into a group of death. They had to play the hosts and tournament favorites Portugal, former champion Spain, and another former champion Russia. I mean, nobody, and I mean nobody, gave them a prayer of getting out of this group. But they stunned the hosts Portugal in the very first match. And after that massive win, Greek sportscasters gave them this awesome nickname, To Piratiko, which means the pirate ship. The whole idea was that they weren't invited to the party, they were there to raid it and steal the treasure. And you know what? That's exactly what they did. Their run through the knockout rounds it was impossible. First, they knock out the reigning champs, France, 1-0. Then they take down the tournament favorites, the Czech Republic, 1-0. And then, in this perfect storybook ending, they beat the hosts Portugal for a second time, 1-0. 3 giants, all taken down by the exact same score. Now, their semifinal win was totally unique. It was decided by something called a silver goal, a strange, short-lived rule where a goal in the first half of extra time would win you the match right then and there. This defender, Traianis Delis, scored in the final minute of that period, and his goal is still the only silver goal to ever decide a major international match. It just adds another layer to this incredible legend.
But here's the crazy part. This victory wasn't just some flash in the pan. The shockwaves from 2004 completely transformed Greek football. It kicked off a whole decade of success they had never seen before.
Get this, in 2008 and then again in 2011, Greece reached its highest ever FIFA World Ranking, 8th in the world. They went from being perennial losers to a legitimate European power. The numbers really paint the picture, don't they? For 75 years, just qualifying for a big tournament was a huge deal. But in the decade after 2004, it became the expectation. They qualified for 4 straight tournaments, proving that their big win wasn't a fluke. It was the start of a whole new era. And they weren't just there to make up the numbers either. They were a team to be feared. They fought their way to the quarterfinals of Euro 2012, and even bigger, they made it to the knockout stages of the World Cup for the first time ever in 2014. The underdogs were now real contenders.
So after hitting those incredible heights, where do you go from there?
Well, like it so often happens in sports, what goes up must eventually come down.
Yeah, after that high point at the 2014 World Cup, the magic just started to fade. The heroes of 2004 got older, a new generation couldn't quite fill their shoes, and the team went into a really steep and painful decline.
That consistency that had defined their golden decade, it just vanished. They failed to qualify for 4 major tournaments in a row, a whole string of heartbreaks that sent them right back into the wilderness of international football.
You know, looking at this photo of the team from 2013, right near the end of that amazing run, it's hard not to feel a little nostalgic. They proved that with belief, with discipline, and yeah, a little bit of luck, the impossible can actually happen.
And that just leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? 20 years after that unbelievable summer, the Greek team is still searching for a way back to the top. It really makes you wonder, was 2004 a once-in-a-lifetime miracle? Or can that defiant pirate spirit that conquered a continent ever truly be recaptured?